What if you're new to us? You don't know what we talked about in the last one, or what we are.
You're
who we
really
are.
good at this, dude, and it's bothering me because I just want to start talking. Welcome back to the Let's Get It podcast with your hosts, Sam and Jim. If you weren't here for the last podcast, we were talking mainly about me and my creative processes, what I've been doing, what I'm excited to do.
The fact that you almost died.
The fact that I almost died. Everything fun and happy under the sun.
But also how you learned.
Exactly, how I learned and...
How you learned that you liked being creative and you liked being... involved with many different skills that help you to put your spin on the world into the world.
Yeah. Well said.
Thanks. I don't think I've ever said that phrase before.
First time here, always. We do things the first time.
One take.
One take, no cuts. That's our motto. One take, no cuts.
One of my buddies really wanted to do YouTube videos where I didn't take any cuts, and I was just like, that's not necessary because, first of all, I don't plan any of my videos. I have one idea, and I'm like, all right, that wasn't good. Next video, do it again and refine it. I record for longer because I have to figure out what I want to say as I'm saying it.
Yeah. Dude, I could not imagine aren't there movies out there that are done in one cut?
Yeah,
Have you heard
I
of
think
that
the movie 1914.
Yeah, I think I saw that the other day.
Did you?
Or something, not the movie, but I think I saw, I've read
one
about
cut.
it. I was like, no.
I'm pretty sure it's one cut.
That would be so impressive.
Obviously they master it and
Well, you got actors, people that are trained to memorize this thing that they're, it's different.
Dude, okay, you want to know the most overwhelming thing? And when I think about being creative, the most overwhelming thing in my mind is the amount of pre-planning that goes into a movie, let alone a one-take movie. Because I don't do the whole pre-planning thing to a large degree.
Well, that's because they have a story, and I feel like when you have a story, you have it arranged, and now you're just looking for the cuts, right? Which is kind of. I've never made a movie, and I've never really.
What were you talking about storyboarding earlier? Was that you and I or no?
That was us and Tyson.
Oh yeah,
we were talking about storyboards and how that got you anxious because you can't draw.
I can't draw. If you listen to the other episode, I think I brought it up. Maybe not.
Full circle again.
But I can't draw.
Yeah.
And
this made me. I wanted to ask this question because we found out how I got into figuring out that I am creative and wanting to make stuff, and we never talked about you. And I don't even know that about you. I don't know what was your what. I have so many questions, but I want to start with where was the beginning of your creative process? And not process, but your creativity. What sparked the interest to dive into creative fields?
Well, I definitely 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, all of those increments. Okay, 5 years ago is when I started this journey in any creative direction. But before then, at no moment in my life would I have thought that I'd be doing the job that I'm doing. And by the way, if you don't know, obviously Sam and I own Let's Get It. Let's Get It. We own it.
It's ours.
It's ours.
Don't take it.
Don't take it? Yeah, because we haven't patented it.
Because it's ours.
Because it's ours.
And it's not patented or copyrighted yet, but it will be.
It will be. So back off.
So don't do it quickly. Because we won't be that fast. No.
No. Yeah, if you were to ask me about 5 years ago if I would be doing the things I'm doing right now, I would have not thought in a million years. I never thought of myself as a creative person because of one thing. I didn't know what it meant to be creative. I was under the impression that being a creative person meant that you could paint or you could draw.
Yeah.
Or that you could do anything in that kind of world where it was very much hand-eye coordination, or even within the creative cloud solutions, various apps. I thought Photoshop was all about whether or not you could use an electronic pen. So I was still I still can't do that. I don't know why, but I can't translate what I'm doing up here.
You just gotta throw that DPI down. You're all right, I have a shaky hand. Let's make sure
on my
that
mouse. Yeah. And just for an example, when I was in second grade, we we had some project where we had to draw something, and I think it was like a butterfly or some animal, and I drew a butterfly and I showed my teacher, and she was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "It's a butterfly." And she was
What do
like,
you think it is?
"Yeah, what do you think?" Yeah,
It's the worst question.
No, I was in second grade. It's how do you feel? I was that like my level of intellect was very high in second grade, and she was like, "It doesn't look like a butterfly."
Yeesh.
Yeesh. So they actually had like one of those PTA conferences, and we were like, Jim or my parents, Jimmy. I go by Jim in professional world, and then Sam
We're
calls
all
me
friends
Jimmy
here.
all the time. So it's probably because he's known me since I was in seventh grade. But back then in second grade, I couldn't draw, and at the PTA, they told my parents that I needed to like engage in more arts and crafts because my creative abilities were lacking. But that's because the only way that they could encourage creativity was through like arts and crafts. Like that was like their.
Yeah.
I think that was probably.
I find that so weird.
I think I correlated like being artistic to creativity, and then artistic meant whether or not you could draw or paint. And like to be fair, when I did get the right help with an art class, like I didn't make the best drawings in the world, but I actually was pretty good at some of the more abstract things.
This is okay. There's two things I'm seeing from this. First, you're in second grade. I like the fact that your teachers are active, that they were trying to actively get you kind of almost involved with it. But at the same time, like, I don't think that's like a thing of concern.
No.
You're a second grader. You're just getting into art. You're not going to be the best, which is daunting and probably why it was scary for you.
I don't even know if I was scared. I don't remember like thinking, wow, I'm not creative. I just remember thinking this doesn't come naturally for me. It's not easy for me.
Yeah.
Whereas I would look at other kids, and at that same level, it was like they're drawing like farm animals and like houses and people that look realistic. Or some of my friends, I remember one of my friends, his name is Austin, and he was really into drawing like anime cartoons and stuff.
Okay.
But he had all these coloring books, and so he'd learn from that, like emulating that. And there's a lot that goes into drawing. I still haven't learned. I probably should. Something I could
There's
just
a lot
do.
of cool techniques, man.
Yeah, but there are. I mean, there's a process for everything. I just didn't get that excited about that process. People that can draw are really cool to me because I feel so distant from them.
Yeah.
I've had people draw pictures of me in the last few years.
Oh, I saw the one recently.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow,
so cool.
I'm
so jealous. First of all,
so awesome. And I didn't know the guy. Oh my god,
you don't even know him?
What? Don't know. I've never met him.
Could you imagine? Well, hold on. You can.
I can.
I'm thinking for myself. I'm like, if someone just drew me, and they like knew who I was, and like maybe like tagged me in it, I'd be like, oh my god.
I did.
I'd be like, I love you.
Yeah.
First of all, I love you. I want to get a copy, and I want to put it in my room.
I'll give you a hug.
I want to give you a hug. I'm so glad you think about me in this way. Like I didn't know that.
It's actually really incredibly flattering for some, because obviously it took him some time, and he had a draft, and not only that, he put me next to people that I also admire and respect.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which I was like, wow. Anyway, getting sidetracked, but that was cool. People who can draw. If you can draw, if that's your thing, comment in the YouTube comments below, because I'm really interested in people who can draw and just paint and anything, and with any like hand-eye coordination thing. Yeah. I do want to see it. Show me your artwork. Anyway, I never really thought it was creative. I actually, similar to your story, Jake was always, your brother Jake, he was always into like Harry Potter and fantasy books.
Yeah.
And I never was. I never liked them. I mean, I did not like them. I just was more into either like nonfiction, or more personable stories. Like my favorite book was Looking for Alaska.
Never read it.
What?
I didn't do it.
John Green.
This is one of my
weaknesses.
Weaknesses is I never really had like I never like got like relaxed from reading books or felt like accomplished after, because I'm always at 100% speed. I need to be completely like,
you have to
doing something and engaged while doing it. And when I'm reading, it's like you have to be in the mood for it. And then school and textbooks kind of ruined reading for me, because every time I looked at a book, I'm like, it's a textbook. And
reading is kind of like a meditative process.
It is.
You have to calm yourself down to get into it.
I mean, there was a point where I was like, all right, I'm reading and I'm going to learn a little bit and I'm going to fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Or not learn necessarily. If I'm reading for pleasure, then it's,
But you might fall asleep. And we'll talk about that later. But you don't exactly get excited to like read a book for school for homework, and you must write. You must,
especially when you don't want to learn about it. You're like, I don't I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it because I have to do it for the
There
test.
are
But I don't really
other
care.
cool things.
Like, yeah, I could have been reading about Adobe Illustrator, and I
Yeah.
would have been.
You would have been so much
I would
better.
have been a god
You
right
by now? Oh, imagine that we
I
don't.
literally would have been a god.
Imagine we learned that as a requirement to learn these things. Ooh, dude, at second grade, they would have taught me how to use an Illustrator.
Dude, they taught me how to work at Excel in 7th grade. I feel like this is the most ridiculous things. I learned Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. And like, I mean, okay, they're important in
Yeah.
the business world. They are important.
But they're not important.
But
They're
not to my interest.
Yeah, they don't have enough options in school. I don't think. I think
No.
they definitely want you to do certain skill. They want you to learn certain
They
skills.
want to set you up to be the business leaders of America so
Yeah.
that they can say, oh, yeah, we had Elon Musk at our school.
Mhm.
If your kid comes in here, he'll build a rocket too.
Yeah, he will send your whole family to Mars. But I mean, I'm not blaming the school system. It's just, and I'm lucky that I had not a lot of people that were limiting me. It was only really myself and what I understood about the world. And I always viewed creative types of people differently. Like, because there was like workshops for like,
Yeah.
what is it, claymation or whatever, like,
Yeah.
or like pottery. Never thought that was cool. I mean, great, you can make that. Again, that's another like hands-on
That's
thing.
a really, yeah.
Like very much visual with, I don't know how
That
you
one's
describe
even
it,
more.
but-
Sculpturing and like pottery is like it's a feel thing, man. You gotta be like really in tune, I feel like.
Well, I can't relate to that. I think it's cool, but it wasn't my thing. And so there was never, and then there's engineering, which I was into engineering. I was always nerdy. I liked the nerdy stuff. I liked video games. I was into, I was never into building things either. It was another like one of those things of like, hey, you're a kid and you're a boy, so do you want to do Legos? And I was like,
Oh, I was all over that. I
Really?
actually really wish I did engineering. That's a big regret of mine. I always felt like, because I've loved, and I've never learned about this stuff, and I think I never really was shown it. That actually, until I went to our high school, like I'd always loved playing with like circuits and stuff like that, and like doing a lot of the simple stuff, building, and like always whenever I have like a bunch of these different variables, like how can I, optimize it in some way. And I always thought I'd be good at engineering, and that's I really hope an engineer doesn't hear what I just said, and I can just see them shaking their head right now.
this
But
isn't
like,
engineering is more than
dude,
building things.
do you even know thermodynamics, man? I don't even know if that's.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, it is.
It's an important part of heat transfer. Heat transfer is a thing, and thermodynamics is a bigger
Also a
thing.
thing.
And
There are a lot
they
of things when it comes to engineering.
They're probably related. But the thing was, engineering it was probably my first look into the creative world. But then I also always just correlated engineering to building shit. And I'm like, man, I'm not into it.
I think that's important, especially when it comes to being creative in something. Is like you have to vision yourself making the thing that you want to make, and whether it doesn't even have to be like literally making something, it could be making something better, for example, or there's a ton of different ways to be creative.
Yeah, we also were taught it was very much you're gonna make the next thing, like as if you're creating out of nothing, and that was always really overwhelming to me too. Like what object am I gonna build for the whole world needs it? It's like I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And
wheel.
It's just a lot of pressure. It felt like a lot of pressure. Everything that I was taught felt like you're either the best at this or you're going to fail.
Yeah.
And I never really wanted to fail. I never was encouraged to suck at things because I was pretty smart.
I wasn't either.
Really?
But I sucked at a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so at one point I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to take this sucking as me sucking, because I suck at everything. Not everything, but like that's what it felt like in school when you're not doing as well as you'd hope. And then you realize you're good at other things, and you're not even necessarily bad at those things that people are telling you that you're bad at. You're just not doing it their way.
Yeah, the way that they've taught you or the way that they introduced it to you wasn't something that either clicked with you or it didn't inspire you. Like
I think that's why it's really important to like do some like soul searching within these different avenues, because like if you're being taught one thing one way, you're going to look at it that way.
There are so many different mediums in which you can be creative.
Yeah.
Like unlimited.
I've been thinking about that just now.
Every single field that you could possibly go into requires a good amount of creativity for you to stand out, for you to feel a part of it, for you to feel related, to feel competent. we'll go into some motivational theory at some point in one of these episodes, but self-determination theory is a theory that explains why we do the things that we do. There's 3 parts to it. There is competency, there's autonomy, and there's relatedness. I didn't feel like I could relate to a lot of the people that I was doing engineering with. They always felt like a little bit either too advanced for me. They didn't have the similar social personalities that were like appealing, like the groups that they were in. At the time, I didn't relate to them. Mm-hmm. Now I probably relate to them more than any like generalized group, I guess. But when it came to actually figuring out my creative process, I didn't have anything that I related to. I didn't feel very competent in a lot of things in that department either. I wasn't competent in drawing, and I keep wanting to say poverty.
And engineering requires a lot of drawing.
Oh, a lot of drawing.
Planning. This just doesn't sound like you, man.
No, it's the most conscientious job that I can think of.
You literally have to be measure and measure twice.
Measure
with
8 million
every
times.
little detail possible.
Oh, God. And I always felt bad about it. Like, oh, there's something wrong with me. And sure, I could have gotten better at that. But like, there are people my age when I was in high school that were just killing it. And it's like, you do this, dude. Yeah. You're gonna be good. I mean, I'm not gonna make 10 times the effort to get.
Oh, I think it just requires desire.
Yeah.
And there's another part you've been mentioning a few times that I actually don't. I don't really like.
What?
Well, you're just people naturally being good at something.
Oh yeah.
And talking about how that like can make you. I think nobody's really naturally.
It's a perception.
Some people are naturally good at some things, but to a degree. Yeah. You can't step up and be the professional at that thing.
It's the perception that they're naturally good at it.
Like there's people that are always been like, Sam, you're so musically skilled.
Right.
You've always been so musically skilled. I'm like, no, I have not.
Yeah.
I started from nothing and I practiced for 10,000s of hours.
Yeah. Listen to the other podcasts, learn about his process.
And that drove me nuts. Every time, I'm not going to call out the person that said it.
Any
they
skills?
Always say it every time he's just so skilled in music. And it's like you've just completely taken out the fact that I've worked my ass off
or even
to get to
time.
that level, and it's not, and it's like whatever. It's just like that just completely like
invalidates the process that you went through. Yeah,
bugs me.
And I hope I'm not saying people are naturally good at it.
No, I wanted to point it out.
In a relative term, if I'm at 16 in 11th grade or 12th grade, 16, 17,
something like that.
It's like
17 or 18.
Now that. And then college is 4 years.
Yeah.
So if my life choices are dependent on what I do for college, if I have 4 years to be good enough at this thing to get a job and get paid for it, and I'm not feeling confident right into college, what I'm going to learn more. Like, I'm not saying you got to be excellent, but I felt very strongly that would be a bad idea for me to cancel all my strengths, cancel all the time that I could be putting into things that I was strong at. That was natural.
Yeah.
When I say
things that I was naturally gifted in skipping on.
Well, when I say naturally, I mean that the way my life. I think
it's what you're saying is naturally drawn to.
Yes.
And naturally just like you've had this tendency to want to do this thing. Yeah. And like you've thought about it a lot. So it seems like you're naturally gifted in it.
It's like the preference of the way my life had been up until that point. You know, the way that my life kind of was formed, whether the life circumstances that I had at that point created a lot of different tendencies for me, whether it was avoiding being bad at something, avoiding being okay with just failing. I had a big difficulty with being bad at stuff, and I would usually run away from things that would prove to me that I was either wrong or incapable, incompetent. And I think once I decided that engineering wasn't my thing, at this point, I still hadn't done like crap for creativity.
Yeah. So you've been studying the books. You've been
I mean, I was good at stuff, and like I developed skills, but it was like still, man, I want to make money. I want to build businesses. I want to help people, and I don't want to wait until I graduate college to do that. And I wasn't doing well in engineering. I got like a 1.5 GPA in my first semester of engineering, which is the one I knew that route was something related to what I wanted to go down because I was good enough to like get my grades there. But from a true skill perspective, there was a lot of work I was going to have to do that I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And some people might judge that others might say, well, you probably have effort going elsewhere. That's going to be better served. So I did. I dropped out of the engineering course because I couldn't stay in it.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with a 1.5 GPA your first semester of college? I was on academic probation.
Yeah.
Being threatened to be kicked out, right? Because it's not like that threatened. It's just like if you don't get your grades up,
like you have to get them up.
You're going to get kicked out. I'm like, well, how am I going to do that in engineering? Because I don't think I'm going to be able to change enough about my life to stay in this and not only stay in it, but get like straight A's for the next semester to get out of that hole.
Yeah.
So I dropped out then become good enough to like get a job to get a major in engineering. You need an average GPA of 3.2 for most of the majors.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or you can get a 2.5 in some of them, but like
more like the more intensive stuff, you have to get a higher one.
Like electrical engineering, mechanical, we need a pretty high GPA. And I was like, this. So what? I'm going to go for my like the least good engineering degree. Like this is not the right path. So I dropped out of that and then I went into some general courses. I did some soul searching, like you said, just thinking about what I really liked and what I tended to enjoy. And at the time and still up to this point, the thing I enjoyed was powerlifting.
Yeah. Lifting
weights, really, fitness.
When did you make your first video? Was that after you had already started working?
No. I made my first video after I had a business coach when I was 18. Like I found one of my buddies on Facebook was like helping people start their businesses and I needed help.
And is this when you started coaching?
It was when I decided I wanted to start coaching.
Gotcha.
So I didn't actually have any clients, but I knew that no one in my school was going to be able to get me the things that I needed. I needed someone that was doing this right now on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a few people had an online coaching company for powerlifting and for fitness and bodybuilding. And I was like, I can probably do this not only well, but better than all these people that are making more money than I am right now. So I'm going to work and figure out all the skills I need to do that.
That's the mindset I like to hear. First of all, you're 18 years old thinking, nah, I've learned what these guys all know and I know more. I need to get better and I need to share it. Like that's.
Well, I was really into lifting, by the way, like fitness.
I remember right at the beginning of that because that's right before I moved.
Yeah, that was when I was
when you got into really good shape.
9th or 10th grade. Yeah. And I was super into that, right? I was learning as much as I possibly could about how to get into shape, how to like get a 6-pack, the basic stuff that a 16-year-old kid wants to know.
Yeah.
And then that evolved because I learned more. And then I think that ultimately began my creative process. I just didn't know it because it really is getting creative with like how to lose weight, how to get stronger, like figuring out how to do something very specific for an individual requires creativity because you have everyone has a different set of constraints that they have available to them in their life. I had some constraints that I had to work around with school and I had a job at the time as a caddy. It wasn't that difficult, but still there were constraints that I had and they're also physical constraints, like how my body responds to different stimuli.
Yeah.
So the creative process kind of started with program development for getting stronger. And then like once I knew enough about how to actually do the thing, it was like time to share it because that's how you're going to get clients is that you're going to share the information that you have and they're going to want it from you. They're going to want to learn the process and they're going to want to change their life. Similar to how we're starting this one. Like we're going to teach you the process of making better content and it's going to get your business off the ground and it's going to get you the clients that you want because they're going to pay the hell attention to you. It's the same thing with the business I started when I was 18. I needed some guidance and the guidance, my friend, his name is Alec. And he was like, dude, you need to make YouTube videos every single day, starting like tomorrow or yesterday, starting yesterday. It's like, well, I don't have all the equipment I need. He's like, no, you do. Do you have a camera? I'm like, yeah, but it's not the best one. He's like, I don't care. Do you have a tripod? I literally, dude, you can use books. You don't need a tripod. I'm like, okay, fine. But I thought I needed, everything.
He's going through everything. Do you have a microphone? No.
He's like,
Do you have
no.
a magnet? Do you have wires?
He's like, I don't have a professional mic. He's like, you can use your phone. You have an iPhone. You have you just audio sync. I'll teach you how to audio sync your videos. Like, he was just crushing every single one of my limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
One by one by one. Because in his mind, the important thing was to learn the process, to start.
Yeah.
Right. And that was a summer going into my sophomore year of college. So I was still 18, turning 19 after the summer. And I started recording videos talking about lifting weights outside by a lake that I live near.
Yeah.
And like, they were really bad videos. Like, no one could understand me. People would listen though. And they would just slowly start saying like, hey, you should probably pick a better environment where it's not so loud. Luckily enough, people were like able to tell me the things I wanted to hear in the way I wanted to hear them. Because if people would have imagine everyone just like, you fucking suck. You're the worst. And I thought I was fine. But like, if I look back, I cringed so hard.
Dude, don't even tell me
so
about
bad.
it. It's so fun. It's so good to learn.
From the way I look to the way I sound to the way that the environment was chosen to the noise in the background to the color that I chose. I cranked up the contrast. Like, I wasn't in focus. The sun was in my eyes. I remember I was like doing this.
You're doing this right next to the microphone.
Yeah, and like,
feel the soothing sounds of my.
But I didn't know that was a thing. But the one good thing was I actually had a coach that was able to talk to me in a way that made me feel comfortable. About changing, and that's one of the biggest value adds in a coach is that they don't talk to you like you're an idiot. And a lot of people in my life, when I did something wrong, talked to me like I was an idiot because I didn't know it already, and I hate that. Yeah, I think I hate that more than anything else.
A lot of people do that. I don't know why it bugs me.
Condescending people or people who speak to you in a condescending way when they can, because ultimately when you show that you don't know something, that's an opportunity for you to be vulnerable, and people that want to feel powerful can take advantage of that. Yeah. Whether it's a subtle power play or it's a very overt one. Mm-hmm. This coach, you're an idiot. He's the one that told me to do it. So obviously he's there to help me get to the next step. And he didn't know everything about all this either. He was kind of learning as he was going too, which is kind of funny. But still, if I wouldn't have done that, if I would have waited until I had $7,000 worth of equipment like I do now, 10, 15, whatever, I have a lot.
You wouldn't have had
anything.
All of this progress.
I wouldn't be able to, you can't get here without that.
Yeah.
You can't get here without starting out. Because there are so many different steps.
So many.
There's from actually learning how to stand in front of the camera, to dealing with the anxiety of speaking in public, to structuring the sentences properly without saying in between every single sentence, requires time.
And that's not even the editing process.
And that's not even close to the end.
Yeah. You're like, that's like the minimum.
Yeah. And at the time too, the video quality on YouTube was like there weren't that many people with like better video quality necessarily. Like, they had a lot better framing, a better understanding of lighting and all this, but the actual quality of the pixels in the video weren't that much better. So it wasn't like, looking back compared to everyone else, but compared to what is available now and for the price, it's like, wow, how did people watch YouTube back then? But that kind of comes back to the development of the process. Like, once I started the business, I realized like, what is the message that I'm trying to send? That's the most important thing. Mm-hmm. I want people to hear the thing I'm saying. So I had to fix the audio. Yeah. Because it was like, people would make fun of me.
You can't hear it.
But I didn't get it back then. I didn't realize it. Like, I'm like, I don't get it. What's wrong? Yeah, there's wind. There's wind when I talked.
Do you not hear the wind outside? Does nature bother you?
Does nature bother you?
The soothing sounds of wind to a microphone?
Yeah, so I really didn't realize all these things. And it was okay. Like, that's the thing. It was the first time in my life where it was okay to be mediocre or even just bad. Yeah. And then, as you mentioned in your episode, it's like, you always tell yourself that like, you're bad and that's okay because you're getting better. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I had like super mature mindsets. I think I thought I was awesome. But people were able to get me to get to the next step. My coach did. I paid a coach back then. I didn't have a lot of money. I gave him pretty much all the money I had because I knew the value was going to be there in the future. And like, at some point I started making enough money and I shifted some of the priority into like very specific powerlifting content, got some of my first clients, and then I started catering the content to them. And then because I got more niche with my business, his help became a little bit less relevant. Just in the fact that his whole business model was like teaching people how to build websites. And it was always like,
Oh, gotcha.
it was just not niche enough for my field. And I
Yeah.
needed something better. I need a better mentor. I need a mentor within my field. So then I started working. Like I had about 15 clients. And I was making really good money for a 19-year-old in college.
Yeah.
There wasn't anyone I knew that was making the money I did at my age in my circle. Like there's people probably, but like not actual people that I knew.
Probably not self-made either.
Well, and the thing was, it wasn't like I was self-made. I had mentors, and then I took it
like as a 19-year-old going out there and saying, I'm starting
this
business. They're not,
And I didn't look like it. I looked younger than that back then because I had like I hit puberty when I was like 16. So like 18-year-old me doesn't look anything like. I didn't have any beard. I had acne all over. I looked young. I sounded young. I didn't have very good vocal inflections with my voice. So there's so many things I learned since then. But once I got to a point in my business where I wanted mentorship in the skill of coaching, I realized that I needed to kind of shift from being my own business to I'm going to be mentored under this guy who's done this for a while and knows the things that I don't know and can really speed up my progress in that world. And the pitch I had for that, because I wanted to work on his team of a small team that everyone wanted to be a part of. My pitch was, I'm going to help you build the media content for your company. Like that's what I'm going to offer you. Look at my videos that I've made. At that point, I had
look at them. They're the best.
They're so good.
I used all the sounds of nature.
All the sounds of nature. You can hear the birds.
You like the sounds of the gym?
Yeah.
I have all the metal clanking.
All the metal clanking. You can hear everyone in the gym. That's how good my videos were. And so he had seen them though. And at that point, I still had I upgraded my camera. Things were getting better. I started getting a sense for how to record videos that people wanted. And I watched his and I'm like, mine are better than yours. I didn't tell him that, but I'm like, I can help you. So, and that's the truth. So then he said, yeah, man, that'd be awesome. I need the help. And you seem like a good person to do it. I was in college. I wasn't expecting to be paid for that. I wanted to just learn and practice. And the other benefit was because he wasn't that good, he didn't expect a lot from me or out of me, which allowed me to continue to improve my creative process without pressure. Because I think a lot of people are limited because they think they can only start. It's like weird. It's like this paradox of I can only produce content if I'm the best or if I've gone to school. It's like I have to wait to put anything out until
I've gotten to this level.
Yeah. And it's like, what level? You're always going to be bad. Like you're always going to have or see someone better than you. So luckily he didn't think that way. He was like, yeah, it's good. Keep going. Good. Like it's going to improve over time. That's how it works.
Yeah.
You do something you think is good and it's just not. Mm-hmm. This is probably if we look back at this 3 years from now, I'm going to mark the calendar. What is it? It's July 1st? July 1st, 2023. We're going to look back at this video and be like, damn, look at our...
We could have done better with the lighting, the microphones, oh my God,
look
that
at this
mug.
Freaking cup. Same mug, by the way. We've recorded this on the same day. We're all wearing the same outfit. But...
Those aren't shadows, that's sweat.
I can't believe I drank water on the podcast and they heard my swallowing. But yeah, I just kind of started there and I developed from that point.
I actually have another question that kind of goes along with that.
Mm-hmm.
In that time when you got hired and you were making these videos and you started kind of learning this process, was there ever a point where you thought like this, or like you get burnt out where you're like, this is the best I can do. I'm getting tired. I'm doing the same thing every time. And then did you ever get over that or something where along the lines?
That's weird because I didn't change anything. Like, so basically what I did was I took the process that he had already been doing and I did it like without a lot of thought.
Yeah.
I didn't really think that I could make anything cool. I just copied what he was doing for a while, kind of like the emulation thing we're talking about. And it's not like he was just it was just a process that I could copy. And
then you think it's right too. And you're like, if I don't do it the way that he shows me, then I can get in trouble.
I think once I started taking personal responsibility for the business, even though it wasn't mine, I was part of it. And he wanted me to take some initiative. And I'm like trying to figure out how can I make the company better. So for like 2 years, I don't think I made a lot of progress. I just kept doing the same.
Regurgitating.
Yeah, for about 2 years, which is a long time. It's just that I was prioritizing my coaching skills, and everything else was like a side thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, I'm like, I think the one way that I was noticing other companies in the industry were upping their game, content quality wise, and we were doing all the things, but not very well.
Yeah,
we were doing a great job of coaching. And that's a key part.
That's like a very key component to getting your content like
valued.
Like if it's good content, it's going to be watched.
Mm-hmm.
If it's good content and good quality, it's going to be loved.
And if it's good content that has
constantly
proof to be valuable for the people that you're working with,
mm-hmm.
it's going to be loved even more, and people are going to want that information.
Yeah.
The issue was we would have people finding us who didn't know anything about our clients, who didn't know anything about our actual ability, and they would judge us based on the content that we had out. And like that's challenging to realize and come to that realization, because it's like, well, shit, we've been doing this for so long. Do we really want to improve? Do I want to shift our resources into this other thing while simultaneously maintaining the coaching clients that we had and still have? And I was like, dude, I don't really know what else I'm going to do with my life. So I'm going to learn all these things. Don't you worry about it. I'm going to invest the money I've been making into a camera and ask my buddies who are creative that I know to learn about lighting, to learn about audio, and just do my best over time. And, still, I'm the only one now growing in this direction in the company. I'm the only one that knew all these things because I've been doing it for so long. So it's like, I need to figure out how I can leverage this skill to help the business.
Yeah.
And, at some point, like immediately the issue was I had the camera, but I didn't want to really be the guy that was in front of it for our company. And at some point I'm like, well, why don't I go to them? Why don't I go and help them out? But before I got to that point, I was actually hired to be a photographer for a powerlifting company, a powerlifting photography company.
Mm-hmm.
And they saw my skill. I actually was mentored in photography. This is actually the moment. This is what happened. I got asked to help out for a powerlifting competition at the Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio, to shoot photography for the lifters for free.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I have a camera. I can probably learn. And my mentor was like, I'll teach you what you need to know. Easy. And I was like, all right.
Sure, man.
I'm doing YouTube videos. I can do this, I've pressed a few buttons before.
Yeah.
And so this was 2 years into working for the company, the powerlifting company. And then I got offered a job to work for the photography company. And then I learned how to use a damn camera because he taught me everything I needed to know. And I was like, holy crap, this isn't as hard as people make it seem. Like,
well, it's a scary thing when you look at it, especially a nice one.
Yeah. Oh, God.
You're like, oh my gosh, this is more complex than a computer. And everything
more expensive,
more fragile.
I don't want to break this. I don't want to. This is a huge competition. There was 250 people competing, and we needed to get photos of all of them. And I didn't know anything. I knew how to get a video recorded, but I didn't know how to do photos. And then I slowly learned how a camera worked at that moment, which is hilarious because I just kind of put everything on auto and pressed the button.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, don't do auto. We're going full manual. I'm going to teach you about ISO and aperture and shutter speed. And I was like, yeah. Can you just tell me what settings to do? Like, just tell me the settings.
That's what I've been doing with you.
Yeah.
I'm like, just tell me, Jimmy.
Just tell me the settings. I'll do it. He's like, yeah, okay. We'll just keep the settings. And then I thought that that's how you did it. It's like, these are the magic settings for powerlifting photography. You set them to this and you're good. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, that's not how cameras work. You can't just set it and go and not think about it ever again. But for a while working for them, I didn't question it. I just went with it, and I didn't really take an initiative or ownership over my work because, again, I was working for him. I was working for this thing, so I'll let him tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. And at some point, he didn't really get to that, hey, we should teach you how all these things work in conjunction and how exposure impacts the photo. And there's so many different skills that, like, are helpful, but also might give me too much power. So maybe that's why I didn't learn it. But at some point I'm like, I want to learn because I want to buy a camera and I want to take the photos that I've taken in this competition with people in real life.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah, let's do that. How do I do it? Well, I need a camera first and I need to go out and use the skills that I learned, the process that I had in that field, and go and mess around. So I remember after there was a big competition in Belarus in 2017. The World Powerlifting competition was in Belarus. And I was sent there with a massive camera bag. And then my massive clothes, like I had like a jump sack, I don't know what knapsack, what are they called?
Okay, yeah.
Like I think it's Asprey 70 liter like camping bag, and I had all my stuff in it. So I had these
really specific.
two huge like bags. My first time ever being in Europe, I was sent there. It's like a 15-hour flight, and there's a whole story to that. But long story short, I had to lie about where I was going to be in order to get into the country. And I basically had to tell the government that I was there to visit farm animals, because that was the only way I could get a visa to last long enough to capture the whole competition. So I said, I'm going to be here to see the farm animals and see all the pasture. So I wrote that on the note, and I go up to the border patrol. By the way, first time in Europe, any country really other than Dominican Republic. And I flew over, and it's intimidating. It's very like Soviet vibes, very Law and Order.
Yeah.
Do this right or you're gonna go to jail. And I was intimidated, and I was so obviously intimidated to like show up to the guy, and I'm like, fuck, if I don't get this right, something's gonna happen. I go up to the border guy, and he stops me. It's like, hey, what are you doing here? And I was like, I am here for farming. And he looked at me. He was like, what? You here for farming? I'm like, yes. I love animals. I'm not lying.
Just add that at
I
the end.
said that.
No, you don't understand.
I actually said
animals.
that. I literally said that. I said, no, I love animals.
I hope he gave you a weird look.
It was weird because there was like 100 powerlifters too. Like,
you're
walking.
all walking together wearing a uniform.
I could have just said I was here for photography.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if that was going to get me in trouble. So I just didn't say it.
Yeah.
I never told him what I was there for. I just said, I'm here for farms. He said, okay, come with me.
Oh.
And I'm like, fuck. I fucked up. I messed up. So he's like, come with me. I need to check your bags. Because he thought I was like a drug dealer. That's why I was being all weird.
Yeah.
Like, he thought I had something.
2 enormous
bags.
Yeah.
And I was
full of equipment.
Yeah.
A lot of probably concerned him even more.
Yeah. He was like, what the hell is this guy here?
You're taking pictures of the animals
that
we eat.
But obviously he was Belarusian, so he didn't like speak super good English. And so he went through all my bags and asked me what everything was. I was like, that's a camera. That's a lens. That's a whatever.
A tripod.
And then he was like looking through my medicine. It's like, what's this? That's my allergy medicine. What's it for? It's for my allergies. I'm allergic to everything. It's like, okay, what is this? Oh, that's Advil. It's for headaches. And he's like, what's this? And I'm like, that's me EpiPen. I'm allergic to bees, And then I had such good answers to the things he had specific questions to that he let me go. And that was intimidating. But then I had I had 2 weeks where I needed to run an entire competition by myself because my boss at the time couldn't get there and he couldn't really help me. So I had 2 platforms to run back and forth to do all these like super specific things that at that point I still didn't really know how a camera worked. And I've been working for him for a year and a half.
You got 2 huge duffel bags
of camera equipment, lenses. I knew how to put the lens on.
Yeah.
And take the picture with
you turn it on.
Press the setting. I knew how to change
auto the settings.
I knew how to press the settings that I asked him. I remember I asked him, what should I put all the ISO to? What should I put the shutter speed? Like all these are questions that you kind of need to be there to answer, which is funny. It was just like, yeah, it should be good. But anyway, I did it and I took some pretty incredible photos. I knew how my strength was. I knew how to get good photos. I knew how to get the framing right. I knew what looked good. I knew how to capture like really awesome moments. There are pictures all around powerlifting that I took that have been around for years. Would you say that you
developed that from imitation or from learning from when you started making your videos back in the day?
I think it was from videos. The actual framing was from like videography.
You kind of saw it and you're like, this looks better.
This looks better. I never really liked the photos that I was like required to take. So my like expansion happened when I was like, actually, these photos look better. And this is what people are happy about too.
Yeah.
Like people love, so the whole thing is like you would want to take a picture within each segment of the lift.
Yeah.
People like those, but they loved the ones where they completed the lift successfully.
Yeah.
And they were jumping in the air, smiling, and the hair was flying, and they were jumping into their coach. And also, those are the ones I wanted to see.
Yeah.
I wanted to capture that.
So they're showing an emotion instead of like
a thing.
Yeah.
Like you're not really showing emotion when it would be like taking a picture of us editing videos. You know, like
it would not be entertaining at all.
No. Well, okay, it's a little bit more entertaining because at least their faces are red. You get to see their muscles, and it's a lot of weight, and it's scary, and it isn't the same. But like, it would actually, you know what? It would be like taking a screenshot of a video, and being like, "This is our preview," and it's like that's cool, but what's the emotion that you feel, right?
Yeah,
and you don't see that until you get the end. So I like the after shots.
Yeah,
that's kind of like and then I can kind of wrap this up, but basically that was the first time where I was like, hold on, I have this skill for photography. I'm going to buy my own camera and I'm going to learn how to use this thing. I'm going to learn it. I'm going to use it. And then I'm going to move into something else. I didn't know where it would go, but I'm like, dude, I can go take pictures of my friends now. We can go on road trips and I can take pictures of fucking animals and make it exactly how I want.
Now I can actually enjoy animals. And go back to Belarus.
Yeah, I can go back to say I really am here for farms this time. I was lying last time.
I got you. I got you really bad.
You so bad, dude.
You look so dumb when you thought I was there for animals.
You're so dumb, bro. So, yeah, man. I mean, it's funny because I didn't even remember all these things. Like, since that moment, life has happened so quickly, and the amount of creativity that happened since I learned how to use a camera. Like I skyrocketed. It was the first time. That was the first time when I realized I had this potential. I started my own photography company as well as the thing I was doing with RTS, and things just kept getting better. And then I learned more about how to make videos. And then because I didn't think videos were a thing, I was always told that creating videos is like flying a plane and taking photos like driving a car. If you think about that, plane sounds really a lot harder.
Yeah.
And that's how it felt for me. I'm like, never going to do video.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, but I need to do video for my company. Why can't I? I have a camera now. I don't have to wait for someone else to give me the equipment. I have it. So how do I make those videos better? And then I'm like, just keep doing that.
Just do it.
Yeah. Now we're here. I mean, look at the freaking quality of this. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know it's going to look good because I know what the hell I'm doing. And if it wasn't for going to Belarus and I didn't have any qualifications for any of this shit either, dude. Like I never went to film school. I never took a photography class.
Yeah.
I maybe took a film class about what made a good movie.
Yeah.
But nothing about framing. I took 0 creative courses because I thought I was shitty at it. And now we're here. And I'm doing this simultaneously while working on this other skill of like being a coach that is super demanding and requires a lot of attention and detail to individuals. But the thing is that refined all of these everything. One of the things you'll realize if you're listening to this and you follow us for a while is that everything connects in some way in the creative process. Like
it all does. It's like everything makes sense.
Mm-hmm. You'll make these connections to things and you're like, what the fuck? Again?
Yeah.
This is again. You can only have so many eureka moments until it gets to the point where like, God, I can't believe we just did that again.
Yeah.
How did I make another? Why didn't I know that before? That's the other thing.
Yeah.
It's like, why the hell did I know that?
You're like, come on.
Yeah. What the fuck?
I should have 1 and 1. That's 2.
There's 2. 1 and 1 is 2 now. How did I? Yeah. So that's kind of my beginning, my process of getting to the point where I'm like, damn, creativity is a thing.
So I kind of want to finish off on the same thing we finished off on the first podcast, which is kind of like, what are you working on now? What are you really excited about?
Mm-hmm. So I still work for RTS, a powerlifting coaching company. We are currently launching a classroom on teaching the skills of programming and the fundamentals of writing programs to help people get stronger. And there's a lot of marketing skills that I'm learning. That's another thing that like learning how to market yourself, learning how to leverage your audience in a way that makes them really want to work with you. So I'm working on that. That's exciting. Learning how to use all the social media platforms to our benefit.
That's a tough one.
It's hard.
That one you have to like actually put in a lot of hours to get down.
I just learned how to use Google Analytics like to a very small degree today, and I realized that there are a lot more people using Facebook still than I thought. and it's pissing me
really?
off.
I hate it.
I hate Facebook.
I hate it so. I'm never ever gonna touch it again.
But dude,
I don't care how much
it's the
our audience would love it.
It's the number 2 source
Still?
of It's the number 2 source of people going to our website is Facebook. Instagram isn't even touching it, and we have 15,000 followers on Instagram.
That is crazy.
Want to know why though?
to me.
Instagram is designed to keep people on the site,
Yeah.
so it sucks for a lot of things. It's
Yeah.
good to some degree, but they limit. Like if you make a story and it has a swipe up link,
Mhm.
that's not going to go to the front of the your stories.
Yeah.
It's like you have to stay on and like pay attention or really care what that one person has
Yeah.
to say. Like if you have 15,000 followers, we have 15,000 on Instagram, and most of our stories get like 1,500 views. So it's only 10% of our
Yeah.
audience is seeing our stuff.
I can see that.
Because I think a lot of our stuff was like
A lot of people that have Instagram don't even use it.
yeah.
I mean, I look at your follower to like ratio on your pictures. I mean, if someone's out there and they're getting like a really high ratio of the people that follow them to their likes, I'd be really impressed. But I feel like
Yeah.
most people, they like download it and then they just don't give
Mm.
it. They're just like, I'm just gonna scroll, look, and do not be interactive at all.
Yeah. And it's kind of whatever. You know, the thing that is cool though about that is it's another skill. And the thing I've learned in a similar way to you is that we can learn.
Yeah.
Like we can get better at something that we know nothing about. There are so many different ways to do that. And mentors have for me been incredibly helpful because they short circuit the learning curve. But you don't skip anything. When you have a mentor, you don't skip anything.
They teach you what's important fast.
Yeah.
That 80-20, not the 80-20, but it kind of is the 80-20. But the most important things that you need to know now, that's what they're great for.
Yeah.
Because then like all these little extra things on the side, if you want to do it on your own time, you do it, but refine these quickly and then you'll be good.
Yeah.
Which is like no YouTube channel out there.
Mm-hmm. So wonder if there would be. It would be so crazy if there was a YouTube channel that was intentionally designed to get you ready to go and create content that people really
with a great name.
Yeah, with a really
and
cool
two
name.
Great hosts.
Super cool hosts. Super.
An awesome logo that
really cool logo.
They don't even know what they're doing and they just did it.
Yeah, we just created it and then it's like, but this is 80%, man. You look at this. Tell me if this isn't is this 80%? I'm confident. If it wasn't, I wouldn't make it. If it was not, I also might not know.
I wouldn't say it's 80%, but that's good enough.
It's good.
This is where I'm like, I'm proud to post it.
Yeah.
Because I like it a lot.
Yeah, you like it.
Like, sure, I could have like gone in and like legitimately drawn this by like hand and done some crazy stuff. But you look at all these other app icons and stuff, it's pretty dang close.
But it gets us to a point where we can prioritize our strengths and put those out there. And as we develop our ability to develop logos, that'll improve. But the logo isn't going to be the difference between people liking us and not.
Oh, yeah.
And it's pretty damn close to at least the message that we want to share, like how we want to present ourselves.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like I've shared a lot of my story. If you guys are interested in more, definitely comment below. Send me an Instagram DM at LetsgEditMedia on Instagram. You can email us at letsgeditmedia@gmail.com. And
we're going to prefer the DMs over the email, but...
Or the comments. The comments on YouTube. If you comment on YouTube, we're responding to you.
We're going to respond to those and ask anything about anything that you want to learn. And hopefully we will be making a video about it and teaching you guys something new. And maybe you guys teaching us something too. So if you have some better advice than we're giving, say it.
Yeah.
And we'll try it out.
Yeah.
And then we'll tell you if you're right or wrong.
Or if
no, you're not. But like
you're wrong. We actually
that's your creative way, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's how someone else would like it. So
yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed this, man. Hopefully you enjoyed this.
I enjoy this.
I enjoy it. I didn't know we were going to enjoy this so much that we would just stay up all night talking.
Yeah.
So
we knocked 2 out in one day.
2 on one day.
2 birds, 1 stone.
80%.
80%.
Let's go. Let's
100%.
get it.
Let's get it.